Not a fan. We'll see what they opt to go for. If you want to prioritize Talia, you could here. But no, they are just going to blind the Ezreal. OMG taking a leaf out of RA from game 2, the game that RA lost. So I'm not sure how I feel about that one. But maybe one thing that's safety net into the Wukong. Bit of defensive ability against the dive threat. See what they opt to continue the draft with here.
I'd be surprised to see Kindred. Remember, that was Shun who picked it up on IG and got away with a free early game, but we go back to the Vi. So running it right back on again. Remembering in game 1, like all the conditions were hit for OMG, the Vi didn't have much to say. So we're hoping for a better performance.
Hey, no, I'm going to be real. We've seen some rough Vi performances so far in the LPL. Yeah. JJ had a fantastic game end, but the rest of the game, he was like 1-6, 1-7 at one point. He really put his body on the line. And now Ahri, which we saw banned in game 1, left open and available. And the Lissandra is banned, bear in mind. So they don't have that same answer. 909 has to bring out something new. Kaisa into Ezreal as well. Fantastic.
Yep.
I feel like RA was just a hard-won draft so far. We'll see what OMG can do to respond to this Akali, but it is already... No, you can't... If you're going to sub out Cream, you can't pick Akali. I would be so bothered right now if they lock that in.
Aux, I mean, oh my god. Cream, especially, if you're going to play Assassins, sub Cream back in.
Cream is just on the bench like, come on, man.
Like, he's so triggered.
Really?
Oh, he's so triggered. And this is kind of the story of OMG. Like, this is a team that has been drafting a little bit left field, right? Like, there's been questions about their draft coming through and their choices, Aux. Like, once again...
No, this isn't even left field. This is on a different farm, man. Completely lost. And we see top lane bans coming in for OMG. So they banned the Jax, traditionally a counter to the Gwen. We could see, like, the Kayle come out and then OMG picking the Gwen. True. But I feel like RA would just ban the Gwen themselves then. Braum denied away. Oh, actually, the Gwen banned away. Another farm completely, honestly, dude. I can't follow this. I can't.
Okay, well, Kayle's still open at the very least. So maybe Shanji just like he returns to that and then... But so what does support counterpick add here? That's the other question, because we're getting a lot of supports banned. A Darius ban as well coming through. Aux, what does that tell you?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like there is definitely Olaf. I know people pick Darius in too, but I actually think it's a fantastic matchup for Olaf. We haven't really seen Olaf as well coming in so far. I feel like it's weird because why would OMG blind Darius, you know? And I feel like Darius is a counter pick. Maybe that's something they're concerned about, but Kayle is open. OMG is going to take Kayle. I feel like RA should have banned Kayle. Now they have this in the pocket. OMG, I think you kind of need support counter pick because you already have a bad AD matchup. If it's like counter pick AD, counter pick support, you could just lose the game off that.
Hang on.
All right, we'll see what they do. We'll see what they
Wait.
do.
Oh!
Okay.
Oh my god, who let the dogs out?
That's why they banned the Darius.
Wow.
They were ready for the dog to come in.
What?
And honestly...
What?
This is something historic. This is history being made.
Dude, I used to play Nasus in Season 3. Oh my god. Well.
This is a call out. This is Cube calling out to you specifically, right?
Yeah.
He knows you're a legendary Nasus player.
Okay.
My word. What a draft.
Have fun as a Kayle. First 6 levels, Aux. How do you feel about this? Because, you know, it's completely understandable that we haven't talked about Nasus for a hell of a long time. We've got Vi in the same game as well, which is still on the stranger side, I'm sure, for some people. What do RA do? Do you just play to top and it's late game scaling o'clock?
Top is just a farm lane, okay?
Yeah,
And the reason it's interesting is Kayle does outscale the Nasus. I know Nasus is in theory infinitely scaling, but like he does eventually fall off when people like Kayle will be able to eventually just shred through you. The reason he's super strong is like mid game to early late when you have a decent amount of stacks, you're so hard to kill, right?
Yeah.
Who is going to kill you in this lineup before Kayle has hit a full spike? They're really going to struggle to cut through you. You can wither the Kayle, like particularly when you hit like level 9, your Q is maxed. You wither the Kayle, can't really do anything. No DPS because the attack speed's slow, and you just dump on her. So it's a very free lane for the Nasus. And ultimately will run amok in some of these team fights. You know, eventually the Kayle will become a problem, but by that point of the game, you should have already hit critical mass. I like the rest of the composition, right? We have those dive tools coming as well with the Kaisa, the Nautilus, the Ahri, the Wukong, you know, those tools that we saw being pretty effective, a lot of them that we saw in that game too. On the other side, OMG, I don't know, man. I feel like they blinded the Ezreal. Don't really agree with that one.
Yeah.
The Kayle's there again, but I mean, I feel like Cube is clearly comfortable in this matchup. The Vi that didn't really work that effectively. At least there's like point and click CC for like the Kaisa and the Ahri. But I'm not a fan of this composition for OMG. I think they've kind of fumbled the draft.
You know what? We've said that before, but hey, folks, welcome in. I hope there are some dog emotes being spammed right now because Cube has let the dog out. And I have to say, you know, recently, this was a couple of months ago, the last time I actually saw a Nasus was in the classic Snoop Nasus video. We all know it. It's a classic from back in the day, the custom skin that turned you into Snoop Dogg. One of my favorites. And honestly, Cube writing down Silt Spellbook here, surprising us all in this game. And like we've heard of like Nasus supporting some of the solo queue that was in the off season, the preseason. But you know,
into Zeri specifically, that was something people picked up.
That's right. The Wither was so insufferable. You know, Wither here, you were talking about it in draft. Wither on top of Shanji as we get a bit of an invade. I'll hold on that. It ain't about the dog in the top lane. Instead, it's about Ahri spotting out Arky taking the blast cone. They know no one's there. Pings are going down. Arky's about to get in a lot of trouble. He doesn't know until now. The trench line connects with the flash anyway. First blood over to iBoy, and RA are going to say it was the Nasus that got them that one.
Yeah, I mean, they get the kill. They get the extra gold as well from the treasure hunter iBoy with the kill. And he has a cull in inventory. This is going to be a very fed Kaisa very quickly. And ultimately, a situation where OMG are left thinking, what happened?
Oh, man. You know, the post-game screen, you're like, why did they win? Well, they won with Nasus. It was the Nasus that did it. 3,211 days. That is what you're seeing down there. The TN symbol next to it. 2013 by positive energy. And I don't know the energy pacemaker. Energy pace. I'm not sure.
You know more than me, dude.
But 2013, 3,211 days. I'm sorry for butchering the teams, folks, but that's massive.
Think how many of the champs on your screen weren't even out then.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
In 2013, a lot of them, you know, weren't even released at that point. Somewhere, I think, obviously Ezreal was quite early in the game, I believe. But yeah, a long time ago. Being brought out again, and now Aki getting some revenge. His blue buff was stolen with the invade.
Gonna get a bit of revenge.
He will steal one back, though.
That's nice. Nice, especially since Aki was falling behind. 8 CS to 16. But note that Leyan is still ahead here. Vault Breaker going to be used to get over the wall because Leyan is searching him out. So I love this double down. This is so smart.
He's just finessed him. He's just done the actual run around, looped him, goes back for the grump.
Nice.
Aki just playing mind games.
Yeah.
No flash, bear in mind. No flash for him. If he got caught out here, he would just be absolutely screwed and out the game. But, you know, when everything's going wrong, sometimes you got to flip it.
I love it. Aki at least getting something back in the game. But notice that Leyan went over to the Raptors, took it away. The Krug camp is the only thing that's there. Top side scuttle, bottom side scuttle. So White is cheeky and a little bit smart. Aki is still heavily behind from dying to first blood. And Aux, it's a 1K goal lead at this point in the game. 4 minutes in. And it feels really nice as RA right now to see this game going in your favor. I didn't ask you a little bit about, you know, how the game progresses here. But seeing a Kaisa and Ahri, when you have yourself a starting snowball with your jungler in control, I would say it feels comfortable.
Yeah. I mean, Akali is not a champion you pick for lane. You pick to get her out of lane to be stronger later. She's not really able to contest the priority of Ahri. Ahri at 6 as well. The mobility makes it very hard to find an all-in for 0909 unless Strive misplays and you play it flawlessly. On bot lane, you're ahead, right? You also... The fact is, you're ahead in lane because of the extra gold you got from the kill, but also just the lane's been going favorable. Alistar, Ezreal, an incredibly weak level 1, but you also have that cull. So iBoy just getting such a massive return on investment. Noonquiver already picked up. Not opting for the early Dirk we sometimes see, wanting to really scale up to be a monster ASAP.
Love watching Nasus. Very therapeutic, but When you don't get the stack on the cannon, sometimes you feel bad inside. You can see Cube's almost towards level 6. Shanji will be ranged. Aux, do you think much changes when we get towards range side of that, like for Shanji, or is Wither just too strong in your opinion?
I don't think Shanji really has kill pressure, and I don't think Cube cares to have kill pressure. He's focused on killing summon, but it ain't Shanji. He just wants those minions. That's what he's after. And again, you know, you'll spike quite heavily in the mid game. That is the point where I just think OMG, they will really struggle to kill him. The Nasus will be so strong, ton of stacks. And then eventually, as we get towards like Kayle level 16 is where she's going to become more of an issue. Note the Boots of Swiftness picked up for Shanji here. So reducing the effectiveness of the slow. As we said, one of the issues that, well, Kayle likes to kite things. We talked about that in the Kayle-Gwen matchup. Being able to kite the Gwen is a big aspect. Very hard to kite Nasus when he just shreds your movement speed and attack speed. It's like you auto, you hobble 2 steps. You try and auto again, but you're still locked in the previous one because you have so little attack speed.
All cold, finding a bit of an engage on the bottom side though. iBoy caught out, Abel on the way. Aki now helping force that flash. iBoy down a summoner here after getting caught out in the river.
Yeah, and you know, it's a nice pickup, but the thing you think about is, oh, well, when Vi gets level 6, we'll be able to punish. Aki's still level 4. Look at the CS difference between the junglers. Leyan has continued to find this momentum, and as much as Aki stole away some camps from Leyan, oh no.
Oh man, okay, well, coming through.
Oh no, it's Akali, never mind.
Yeah, it's the same as Lysandra Aux. You get excited and he just gets away.
Yeah, hard to punish, but also hard for the Akali to really apply pressure. Does have that level 6, so if Strive misplays, if the Shuriken connects, could find something. Once again, though, we see OMG looking for priority on those early dragons. Bear in mind, OMG first 2 dragons both games so far this series, and they will get that first dragon for the 3rd time in this series against RA.
But let's be real, Aux. Do you think it's changed a lot? I think in game 1, Hextech Soul helped out a lot, but it was RA that got that. So, you know, early dragons haven't really dictated the pace of this series, nor have Heralds, right? It has just been mid-game picks. That's fair to say when, you know, last game, Leyan getting caught out, game before.
It's been how the team fights have started, I felt. Like, you know, as much as OMG had the advantage early in their game 1, it wasn't enough for them to really supplant RA. In game 2, I feel like, you know, as you said, finding those picks in Leyan is such a massive factor. So I think as much as you can't discredit the impact these early dragons have or the heralds, it doesn't feel like it's ever going to be done and dusted because there is, you know, these scaling elements to things like the Kayle, but also the engage potential.
Hang on, with Spirit firing as well. Divine Judgment comes through with the Cyclone on top of Shanji. We see people gank a Kayle and we always think, well, you're going to need a bit more than that. As bottom lane might be an engage. Yuyanjia with a line of fire. Dredged line, but Abel's over the wall with an arcane shift, and RA still sticking around. iBoy has himself the killer instinct, but will not find a target, will not find an angle, and instead goes back to lane to get priority.
Importantly, it's the heal, not the cleanse for iBoy, which I'm not saying is wrong, but we often see the cleanse traded for the exhaust. So the fact that Abel has exhaust and iBoy doesn't have cleanse, very hard to dive in and kill him. I don't think it would have happened there regardless, but just in future setups, iBoy might have to wait for more reinforcements to make things happen. Now, there's fight coming in potentially for this Herald. 5 members of OMG. RA is slow to the play.
Aux, awkward with this one. No Spirit Fire available. Fury of the Sands is down as well. Leyan goes in for the engage, and OMG get their first target in Leyan. Back on top of the Herald. It's an easy secure here as OMG finally make their mark in this game, and will have an objective to put down as well to bridge that 1K gold gap.
And I'm sure Aki really appreciated getting some revenge.
Oh, cold. Okay, he's going to bop back. Good charm here from Strive as well. I thought Yuyanjia was hooking or fishing a bit too far, but it doesn't matter. RA get it, and that's a nice little trade.
Nice trade back. Gives them some time on the map. You can see pings coming out on the enemy jungle. Wanting to apply some pressure here, but looks like nothing will happen. Resets come in. So Herald for OMG. Pretty big for Aki. Falling behind in the jungle, but still sharp on those early objectives. And the question is, like, look at the minimap. Look how far away the bot lane is for RA. And RA are posturing, thinking, I'm a Wukong. It's hard for me to die. But Leyan, as soon as you see the charge come out from Aki, you should be pressing W. So he can't hit you. Hits the clone. And then the end result is you get CC, well, you get locked down and you get taken out. Just not the best play from Leyan. And kind of a repeat of the previous game, getting caught out, right? That has been a theme for Leyan, unfortunately.
Kind of a theme for junglers as well. Let's not talk about this game because Aki, of course, was a cheeky little invade from Ahri to catch him for their first blood. But, you know, in the first game as well, like, that play towards mid was pretty breathtaking, to say the least. So it feels like both junglers have had their moments within the series, and you're right, Leyan had a big lead, but now has kind of lost that. As we look towards mid, depth charge used on a 909. He's in the shroud, but it won't matter as he comes out and sees a monkey, a guy from Bioshock, and a fox all on top of him.
What a combination, and that is enough. Enough members to take out 909. Ult wasn't available. That extra tool to dip away wasn't there. And so far, heavy standard to live up to is Cream's Akali. Maybe not in the previous series he played, but to be fair, I think wasn't the best setup in general. But such a prestigious champion for this team in 0909. This rookie coming on the roster, yet to have the impact with hope. Now they are looking to set up for a dive. Remember, Kayle ult available and Aki is there.
Yeah, so again, diving to Kayle as Cube just decides to go loop-de-loop. Runs away, and Aki going in with a Vault Breaker, but it's a bit of a ruse for now, making sure that everyone's backed away. The ward goes down. Cube cannot back safely there. And Aux, I mean, they keep trying to dive this Kayle, but Ahri never pulling the trigger as he walks into sudden impact. Depth charge not available, with Cube jumping on top. Shanji running for his life as Strive gets a reset. Why they did this, I don't know, as Cube gets it with Fury of the Sands. The dog is on the board, the charm there, the stack coming up. I'm waiting for it, but
Leyan?
They flash away. Leyan, you cheeky devil, you. What are you doing there? Well, two-shot barrage flies through, but not going to hit anyone as the heals burnt as well. They're going to get out for now. And oh my god. Well, ulti used on the clone. Aux, this series, man, it's giving us a bit of everything.
This ain't Cream. That's all I'm saying. I don't know. A little bit of a whiff on that one. Not the best performance. Ultimately, they had overstaying a bit for those tower hits. You could see they wanted to finish up on Shanji. I just don't know what OMG were going for, right? They were trying to catch someone recalling off sync, but all of the members of RA were there. I think they... Okay, so I think what happened here is because they canceled the recall off Cube. They thought maybe it was just Cube and the rest had gone. Ends up being all three, and they're not going to win this fight. The biggest tragedy here is Cube doesn't get the extra stacks with the Kane. Ends up getting Fury of the Sands kill, as you said. And then Charm from Strive, fantastic, but the follow-up not able to be there. No, we don't get time to break down replays.
We're diving the dog. Here we go. Cube without his ultimate once again, but the Kane already doing work. Herald helping out. This guy is already doing a lot of damage. I'm curious to see the stacks at 113 CS at a kill, but Aux, he's doing just fine, and it's only going to be plating for the goal.
He's really starting to ramp up at this point, and a nice dipping and diving, dodging away from... Oh, Abel!
He's walked back in. Depth charge. Won't matter with the arcane shift. iBoy still has the ulti available, but now Yuyanjia is the turn. Unbreakable Will was burnt by Cold, worth mentioning, but at the very least, it keeps the pressure on OMG's bottom lane as they continue invading and just get free plating Aux. And this is big for RA with the gold lead now swinging out of control.
They try to make that play to the top side, and the response is pretty severe. Now they're looking for Cube again, but Strive is here.
Fury of the Sands is there. That's a lot of damage with the Kane coming down. Everfrost helping out. Give him the stack on Aki. Bam!
There we go!
There's stack number one onto Shanji with us there. Again, a double kill coming through. Cube has let the dog out.
Cube is starting to take over 3-0 in this Nasus, about to eclipse 300 stacks. He is hitting the point with Q-Max really starting to make things happen. And all this time, Aki's trying to make plays top. They've just lost a full tower's worth of plates in that meantime. Such a CS difference, 40 CS lead for iBoy. OMG being torn apart. What a mess, but Cube, what a fantastic game for him.
I mean, 3-0 on the Nasus. It has been, as I think Jamada said on Twitter, almost 10 years since we've seen Nasus in the LPL. 2013 summer split is when we saw him so long ago, and Cube making it look like it's having a nice return with a nice play alongside Strive.
I mean, I feel like Strive being here was such a relevant factor, but honestly, I'm kind of skeptical as to whether this would have worked if it was just Cube. Like, he is strong now. I actually could have seen him 1v2ing in that situation, but irrespective of that, right, we're honing in on Cube. Look at the items for iBoy. Gale Force Collector completed already at 14 minutes.
True.
You know, people often talk about Lord Dominic's versus Collector. Obviously, if enemy team has armor, Lord Dominik's is preferred. Later in the game, when people have more armor, just generally, Lord Dominik's hit so early in the game, no one has any armor. And then look at this is not the play, by the way. This is not the play.
Don't dive, Cube. I mean, we were talking about not diving to Kayle, but Divine Sunder. He's got a Glacial Shroud. There's a stopwatch. Ultimate available, Ghost available, you're right. Don't make it as Shanji now getting tagged out by Stride, but he can do this. The Ahri with range, playing it nicely with time. As it looks like Cube backs away from the bottom lane in the meantime as well. So Yuyanjia holding the wave, the depth charge coming through. Divine Judgment going to be used early, but the charm, nice. Strive drops the Ignite on the way through. Excuse me, that was Yuyanjia. Strive with one more tag of the ulti is all that needs to come through. Orb Deception, Yuyanjia waiting for it. And Shanji knows he's got imminent death on his plate. It's just about how he dies. Charm dodge, though, which is nice. Everfrost as well. They're going to get the turret, and yet Leyan is going to take the kill.
Oh, that felt so painful for Shanji. He knows he's doomed. It's just a matter of time. Cube make the decision to back away from the tower. Even though I feel like Cube had a much better chance of warding off a dive, he still knew it wasn't safe to stay. Shanji, not only did they lose the tower, they also end up losing the Kayle as well. 0-3, not the performance we wanted to see, but I feel like for the Nasus to come out as the counter pick, this is fantastic for Cube.
I'm going to say, dude, at this point, like, you know, what's next? Like, how far do we go, right? Because when we see picks like this work, other players start thinking. I'm curious as to how far it goes outside of a pocket, but for now, I'll enjoy the Ride Orcs because Cube, as soon as we see his stacks, we know it's going to be massive. We know in these fights coming up, third Dragon towards Baron, Cube is going to be so massive. And if I'm someone like Abel, even 0909, even Shanji, like, Cube runs you down, and I don't know what you can do about it at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, I talked about level 9 being a spike with Q max. There's also level 13 when your W is max for that huge wither. Nasus is so strong right now. Should have like a Frozen Heart finished up soon, or just more ability haste in general. Getting the shortest cooldown possible, but Abel is able to dip away. But this is 2 towers gone mid, and it's just Ahri getting everything they want.
Their defense doesn't exist. Herald's going to get a third charge. Abel trying to poke it down, but it gets the damage off. Meanwhile, 0909 gets it in the top lane, but yeah, Cube gets another turret. RA are unleashed. This looks so easy from here, and OMG have had nothing to say in this game since Aki died at level 1 at his blue buff.
Yeah, I mean, the invade made a lot of sense. Found that window really strong from RA, but it feels like the momentum has never let up. Fantastic game from Leyan. We were pretty critical of him in that previous game for getting caught all those times. Him showing what he can do on the Wukong, but I think the solo laners are the true stars of this game. Strive with some fantastic roam timings on this Ahri. Cube, pick Nasus. That's enough for me, but he's also doing well on it, so I feel like that's an added bonus. And now, when we look at the state of the game, it seems so favored to RA.
I just love, you know, Cube is focused on stack. 459 stacks, folks, at 18 minutes. I mean,
and look, he's going to get every single little Kruglet, every single one.
He's going to wait for it. The rest of RA are waiting as Leyan, no, never mind, not going to do that. On top of Abel, sees the rest of OMG, gets a knock-up to get away. And it feels like RA right at this point are so confident, Orcs. Like, they can't put a foot wrong. They've got their second Dragon. It is an Infernal Soul as well. And they've got this Nasus that's now split pushing with 2 items. I mean, Cold's going to come down. You need 5 members. Look, Orcs, they're bringing everyone.
They need it. They need it.
He's popped the Ghost. All right, can he survive? Fury of the Sands needs to come through, but he's stunned up. Goes golden to buy time. The whole of OMG here. Cube taking so long to die. He's exhausted, and finally they do it. The raid boss is down.
They get him, but you see what they need to imitate even a shred of his power. Cube, this absolute beefcake, he will go down, but they have to commit so much. I felt like maybe the Kayle could have come out if he got another Q down.
True.
Unfortunately, the timing is good. 30 seconds until Baron. There was nothing for RA to really do too effectively on the other side. They will take this tier 2, but no massive like sort of sacrifice on the top side of the map. But man, I think it just shows how scared OMG are of Cube at this point.
It's such a humorous game, such a nice game to finish off this series. And confidence booster for RA fans when RA in that last game kind of had it by the helm, or rather were in a comfortable position. constantly getting caught out really hurt them. As speaking of caught out, 0909, yeah, Aux, he's going to go on the brush, but Leyan, right now, he's doing a bit of damage himself. Cyclone number 1, and the second one keeps him airborne. Leyan with his 3rd kill of the game. He's picked up a bounty, and honestly, at this point, RA feeling confident. They're just heading towards Baron and the rest of OMG's jungle.
A lot of tools used, so might be a bit precarious to start this one up, but they're going to go for it anyway. Remember, TP available to Cube. Exhaust as well.
True.
Wither plus that, quite painful. They will start it off, and they're trying to play Interruption. They are so far ahead right now. Definitely a window to look for this.
Okay, teleport's going to be burned. Look, the wards on top of the whole of OMG. Cube doesn't care. The ulti burns straight away. The Divine Judgment from the other side, but OMG now running for the hills. That Cube is here on top of Cold. The Unbreakable Will doesn't matter. Snoop is coming for you. Dredge line blinding through as RA have a bit of damage excess along the other rolls. Cube taking this poke, but still at half HP. Good Mystic shots coming through, but he's now the front lines of Dredge line and baits him in. 0909 thought he could do it, but the Sands are hitting him hard. And RA do not lose a single member despite going that deep.
Did feel precarious at a moment. Cube nearly going down towards the end, but they're able to get out again after getting a kill on the Aki. Ult comes down just to check the Baron. Won't see anything now. It's a minute 30 till Dragon. Probably see them lean towards that one, but Cube, we saw, becoming is a problem. Strive massive on this Ahri, and he's building towards that force of nature. That extra magic resist is going to make it so much harder to kill him. We'll see the replay coming out. And, you know, initially TP comes in and OMG just kind of like don't really know what to do about it. Yuyanjia finds to engage, and then they're like burning everything to keep their front line alive. Bear in mind, this is a Kayle ult onto Aki and the ult onto Cold, and it just doesn't matter. Cold just dies.
I love that the Q goes through Unbreakable Will. Damage reduction meaning nothing. And, you know, Abel right now, Aux, feels like the one doing the most damage. 2.5 items here on this Ezreal. And for OMG, I'd be asking you in any other game, you know, how do they come back in? But we've seen 3 games straight of Kayle. We know what Kayle is a late game win condition is over the top. Hang on a minute, Leyan.
This is a bit deep.
Yeah, I thought that was Strive for a second, but as Leyan backs away, it is still just RA's game to lose at this point. And Aux, you can see why, right? Like, this has been controlled from the start. We've talked about that, but I'm not even going to ask you how OMG come back in because they can't get past Cube. And then if they do, the rest of the team blows them apart.
And now Baron being started. OMG have to move over. I mean, it's pretty quick as well. The Nasus does a lot of damage to it. It's going to be gone, and Aki can't get in with his ult.
Depth charge, Everfrost, hang on. They're actually going to flip it, though. Aki can get over. Not stolen, though. Leyan being cheeky is the Divine Judgment starts it off once again, but Fury of the Sands on Cube. He's in the middle of everyone. OMG might get a kill, but look at him go. Aki with stack number 1. Cold's coming up next. Stand inside the fire circle as Cube continues to run them down, but 4 people here. He won't be able to do it. OMG win a fight when all hope was lost.
That was it. That was the throw from RA. The hope given to OMG. And as well, not only do they deny all those Baron buffs, they'll be able to pick up the Dragon as well. Keep RA away from the Infernal Soul. And just when we felt like the great game was coming to a difficult position, RA overstepped. They could have just taken the Dragon, right? They didn't need to go for that. But clearly, the kill on the enemy team making them feel desperate. And RA, you know their goal is to end the Baron because they do so much to stop Aki coming in. 4 HP ends up getting finished by Leyan in the end. And then Cube is doing so much work here. But look at iBoy and Strive already on 0 HP. 0909 shuts down the Kaisa and zones Strive out of the fight. And as much as Cube is doing a ton of work, a lot of his time occupied on this Alistar. The ult times out, and without that reduced Q cooldown, getting kited a bit, isn't able to finish out. Still massively favored for RA, but OMG bought themselves a lot of time.
Yeah, they did. So now I will ask you that question, Aux. I was going to ask before. At what point do I start saying, well, OMG can fight on equal terms? Like, how much does it take for Shanji to be able to carry this game alongside, I'd say, Abel?
Well, I think a big thing is the setup for that fight was probably as bad as you can get for RA. You can look at the damage numbers. Strive and iBoy weren't really able to do anything. I feel like Abel is starting to really hurt. 3-item spike on his Ezreal. He has the armor pen, importantly. Still waiting for that level 16 for Shanji. It'll make a lot of difference. And I also think it comes down to how the fights play out. If 0909 can shut out the Ahri and the Kaisa, that can make all the difference. But it is still heavily favored towards RA at this point.
600 stacks.
But without the Baron, they only have on one member. I feel like they can't really push too effectively.
True. Wave coming in through as well for OMG. Still defending nicely as a True Shot Barrage. Does a lot of damage. But I'm watching Cube in the bottom side. 600 stacks, I mentioned before, is where he's sitting at 25 minutes into the game. And with RA utilizing his pressure, they're able to blow open mid lane. 7k still the gold difference, but remember that we're not close to Assault. We've got Baron that's going to be timing out in 25 seconds, and it's minus 880 as the gold play. So not a Baron power play. The game actually more stagnant than before, and OMG still in with a fighting chance, despite this early game and mid game pretty much going down the toilet versus an animal in the top lane.
Yeah, I really feel like the fact they didn't secure that third dragon really hurts them. Because now, even if they get this next dragon, it's still 5 minutes before Soul. Whereas here, they could have actually got Soul before Kayle hit level 16. If they had secured that last one, Kayle's not going to be level 16 in 2 minutes. And especially if they hadn't thrown that fight around Baron, she'd be even further away in experience. But now, things are getting problematic. Firstly, Serelda's Grudge is such a fantastic item for Ezreal here. Not just because the armor pen on the Nasus, but also the kiting, the slow effect. Shanji may well go towards the Rylai's next. We'll see what itemization he opts for. But either way, Cube is going to have a harder time. We've sort of started to move past the mid game where he's really spiking. He's still an absolute massive threat, don't get me wrong. But he is going to start to feel less and less relevant when Abel gets enough damage to cut through him, when Shanji becomes that powerhouse.
Yep. And
now for RA, it really comes down to execution on this front. They are kind of locked out of making anything happen until those objectives spawn. You can see they're just pushing waves into the base of OMG. There's 2 minutes till the Dragon, 2 minutes till the Baron. We'll see how they navigate around those.
Just quickly touching up on the kite ability from Abel, I also want to point out, when Shanji gets Rylai's too, a similar problem to occur with Cube. And, you know, we always talk about Kayle late game scaling and how it's, you know, one of the best, if not the best in the game in some of these team fights. And so Shanji, as he fast approaches level 16, you have to keep that in mind because for OMG, it's 1:30 till Dragon. You were just talking about that. But I want to also point out, Aux, that it is going to be a different story for OMG to get out of their base because right now Vision is controlled in a thorough line by RA. They're able to push up, taking pretty much all of OMG's jungle. A mission to get out safely for OMG and make sure they're not stepping over wards and getting caught out before the objective spawns.
Yeah, that's the difficult thing, is the fact that in this situation, like, OMG have had a pretty free pass to farm, that's fine, but as you said, they haven't been able to step outside the base, don't have much vision to contest, so very hard to really get in on these objectives, especially when you think of the composition RA has. Face checking into a lot of these champions is super dangerous. You do have the Alistar, who can do a pretty good job of that, but ultimately, even with his ultimate popped, you can see how quickly they tear through him, especially the true damage available to the Ahri, able to cut through him quite comfortably. Either way, it's now 40 seconds to kill that dragon. OMG technically don't need to contest this one. It's not going to be Soul for RA, and Shanji is yet to be level 16. Still waiting for one more level worth of experience before he can get that. And actually, not opting for the Rylai's. He knows they have the slows from the Ezreal.
True. Going
for the Void Staff instead to cut through that Nasus as quickly as possible.
All right, so Cold walking through. Speaking of cutting through, Cold wants to cut through the jungle, but RA catch him out. Unbreakable Will is going to be down. Level 11 Alistar, so the cooldown is reduced, but remember that we have Dragon in 5 seconds. We also have the Baron in 15 seconds. That ulti for the start of the fight will not be available as iBoy looks to just be soloing the Dragon with full bot lane control.
And, you know, this is the correct play from RA. I think it's also the correct play from OMG. Oh, that could have been close. Also the correct play from OMG to give it up. You don't need to fight this. But imagine if they just prioritized that Dragon before, this would have been Infernal Souls, such a massive spike for them. Shows that mismanagement has given space for OMG to get to that level 16 point for the Kayle, to give them more time to find a window in. It's still disadvantageous position. I finished for iBoy 2 levels up on Abel. Definitely puts them in a position of power, but now it's down to playing around the Baron. OMG know the Dragon's just been done, and see how scared they are to place any vision in on this angle.
But being smarter about it as well, like, this is nice, considering that in game 2, Leyan was the one who got caught out 3 times in a row. Game number 1, OMG had the Kayle with a similar condition and just got caught out of nowhere and the game ended. So OMG kind of learning a bit from the mistakes at the start of this series, making this a close finisher. Game number 3, it's one apiece, and for OMG and RA both looking for their LPL win, their first one of summer. And it might come down to something like a Baron here as RA haven't started it, but Orcs, they're just trying to find that pick. Vision finally cleared for OMG, but RA know that they're there, and in front of the red buff, it's in full vision strife going over the wall, making a hero play to the Divine Judgment pulled out, but Shanji in the middle of RA, Cyclone in the middle as well, and everyone's there, Cube joining in, this massive dog cleaving through, Aki getting hit hard, and look at the stack city, the Kayn comes down again, and Rare Adam pulled one mistake into a massive advantage to make this series theirs.
And I saw the charm come in. It couldn't have hit a worse person. The Kayle goes down. That late game insurance off the map. RA will clear this one up. Shaky at a point, but ultimately a convincing win to get them their first series win of summer.
And the Nexus was stacked, Orcs, 50 gold, and all the star points you need. Man, I love watching picks like this come into the LPL. And Nasus, by the way, which, as Dagda's corrected on Twitter, 2014 in support was the last time it was played in general, but 2013 in the top lane. It's been 9 years since we've seen this champion up top, and Cube flexes it out, 7-2, 8-2, I believe was the final score. A beautiful thing to watch when you're a fan of the dog in the top.
Yeah, I mean, it was so relevant in that game. I do think there was other aspects to it, right? Strive, a fantastic Ahri performance. I think we saw these two up-and-coming LGL mid, Strive clearly showing why we've been so hyped from in spring. A great performance across the series. And ultimately, the solo lanes did so much work for RA in this one. Cube on that Nasus was just phenomenal. But also, I want to give a bit of credit to 0909. Ultimately, we do see OMG lose the series, but I think he had a solid debut. The Akali game, you know, I joked about Cream, it being a signature pick for him. I don't really think this game was on him. And ultimately did have some decent moments in the team fight. So hard to do more when things were such a struggle. And I feel like the draft was a massive issue as well for OMG in this one.
Agreed. A conversation that keeps coming up. OMG was something you and I talked about where this team has had a couple of shaky drafts, a couple of question marks. And this time around was no exception. So for OMG, now 0-2. I mean, for me, this kind of tells the story of a team that, you know, developed a lot in spring, but got uprooted by some of the better teams in the league. RA seems to be one of those teams. And, you know, once again, trying to find their way through with, I guess, medium-tier talent.
Yeah, I think, you know, when it was Cream meta, that was when we saw the highest hopes for this roster. Yeah. They've really been struggling so far. And I think the thing that hurts the most is that this isn't like an exceptionally hard schedule. There's definitely times where you see a team start off this the split and they're like facing like, you know, RNG, JDG, V5, like really strong stacked teams. And you're like, okay, they're 0-2, but you know, you can give them a pass on that one. They were kind of expected to lose. AL and losing out the ones that they've had so far. I believe it was AL who they lost to, right? Or was it?
It was AL, yeah. You're on the money.
Yeah, losing out to AL and also losing out... Actually, no, I think it was Ultra Primax who beat OMG.
Sorry, yeah, other way around. It was AL who beat RA.
Ultra Prime and RA at this point. These are not teams that, like, you can just take a pass at losing to. These are teams that are going to finish the standing in a similar spot to you. These are games that will make the difference between you making playoffs and not making playoffs. Pivotal wins, so... a rough start for OMG, you know... And this series was close enough that we could have seen it gone a different direction if things had changed. But ultimately, after the course of this game, game 3, it definitely just solidified that RA were the better performing team on the day.
Yeah, that's right. Immaculate game number 3. Really nice to watch. And, you know, I asked you, Orcs, at the start, you know, who let the dogs out? You know, you could have come back to me and said, Cube. Yeah. Sorry, I had to throw in some cringe in there.
Oh,
thank you.
This is almost as bad as my joke on Twitter. If anyone didn't catch it, by the way, for context. So me and Hysterics were doing graphics yesterday, and I asked him, which LPL team is Lady Gaga's favorite?
Yeah.
Rah. And so you may have noticed at the start of the day, we named all of our little segments after Lady Gaga songs. It was Poker Face, On the Edge of Glory, Star is Born. And you know what? I feel like Lady Gaga would be pretty happy with RA after that performance.
True. Maybe she's an RA fan. Maybe Lady Gaga watches the LPL English broadcast.
It's her favorite team, dude. That's what I just said.
Cube's going to get MVP. Like, there's no way, as, you know, LPL, they're sitting there going, Maybe we give it to Strive for playing well. You know, maybe we give it to iBoy. No, it's going to Cube, guys. It is going to